13.8 billion years ago, the Big Bang started banging. From that moment, the universe began its journey of growth and complexity. From very early on and over billions of years, stars, planets, black holes, nebulae, and galaxies formed, setting the stage for something even more remarkably complex: life. It emerged on a small rocky planet we call Earth. This life became more and more complex, eventually leading to the emergence of human brains, the most complex structure of the universe that we know of. Whatever started banging had grown its own brain. And that's what we are, the universe's brain, whose life support system is Earth. And what does this mean for your life and the future of all humanity? Let me tell you. If I asked you who and what you are, what would you say? What if I told you that your identity isn't what you think it is? That it's way bigger than anything you've ever dreamed of? This could be the answer you're looking for. I work in a university and I see students every day who don't know who they are. Many felt completely lost in life until I introduced them to a new identity, to their prior identity that they'd never seen. And it changed their entire view of reality. And here's what I told them. First, you're a lot older than you think. Every atom in your body is billions of years old, mostly hydrogen, formed just after the Big Bang, with all the other atoms forged in the furnaces of giant exploding stars billions of years ago. And second, the chance of those atoms becoming you is almost impossible. You had to win a 200 million to 1 lottery to be the sperm that won the race to the egg. Any of the other 200 million sperm and you wouldn't exist. And each of your parents had to win the same lottery when they were conceived. Now 3 things have had to happen at 200 million to 1 for you to exist. And that had to happen in every coupling all the way back through millions of years. And yet here you are. And third, I want you to imagine a bottle of ink thrown at a wall as a metaphor for the Big Bang. When the bottle hits and breaks, a big blob of ink appears at the breaking point, with lines of ink spreading in all directions, some forming random and complex designs. Are those complex designs and shapes new and separate events? Or are they a continuation of the event of the bottle breaking? Of course, they're a continuation of the same event, just showing up a bit later. Now, let's think about the Big Bang. When 13.8 billion years ago, whatever it was that started banging got more and more complex over time. And what is the most complex event that we know of in this unfolding event? It's the event of the human brain. The human brain is so complex that it was able to invent conceptual language. Conceptual language is what you and I are doing right now, making millions of combinations of sounds that mean so many different things. A brain that is so conceptual that it not only conceives that the universe exists, but also attempts to understand how it all works. And all of this leads to one simple and logical conclusion. The human brain is an event of the universe. This event conceives that the universe exists and attempts to conceive of how it works. Therefore, the human brain is the event of the universe conceiving of itself. And since this is the case, the self which has the brain that's doing the conceiving must be the universe. A human brain is not just a conceptual brain in the universe. It's a conceptual brain of the universe. It's the universe's own brain. This is humanity's prior identity. This is our place in the universe. This is such a radical shift in the way to see reality of what we are. Yet people often say to me that it's just so obvious now, and they wonder why they didn't see it before. It's for at least 4 reasons, what I call the 4 obstacles. I'm sure that whoever is watching this video has a name, and your name's fooled your brain into thinking that it belongs to the name. Like in, hi, my name is John and I have a brain. No, John doesn't have a brain. The universe has a brain that someone named John. There is no John. The brain's prior identity has been stolen from it by a name. It's almost funny. Whatever banged spent almost 14 billion years growing its own conceptual brain. And what do those brains do? Well, they give each other names. And the names stick and steal the brain's identity from whatever started banging. This is cosmic identity theft. Imagine the James Webb Space Telescope spotting a giant conceptual brain identical in form and function to a human brain, including the eyes, but the size of an entire galaxy. A perfectly rational response would be, oh my God, look at this. The universe has made its own conceptual brain, and it's looking around at the rest of the universe. And even if someone named the giant brain Jimmy, we'd never be so absurd as to think that it's Jimmy's brain, because we'd know that we've simply called the universe's brain Jimmy. But since a human brain is tiny in comparison and is stuck in a little body with a name in a social environment with lots of other brains with names, we view the human brain completely differently than we would if we saw a galaxy-sized brain showing up someday in a space telescope, and for no good reason. We just don't tend to expect that if the universe has its own highly conceptual consciousness, it could look like us. The human brain does something called selfing. In order to survive in a dangerous and social world, the brain must protect itself. And so it invents the concept of other beings or other objects that can hurt it. And the moment it does, the concept of self is also invented, because you can't have other without self. The brain then becomes convinced that this self it has invented, and that goes by the name it was given, is who it really is. And this invented self becomes more and more convinced that it's real when thinking happens. Because the more the brain thinks, the more it seems that there is a thinker having thoughts. But as neuroscience is showing us, the idea that there is a thinker having thoughts is just another thought. There's really no one home. The self is a very convincing illusion within the brain that invented it. It's a real concept, but it's not a real entity. The third reason it's so hard to see what we are is because the invented self is dropped at birth onto the stage of the worldwide improvisational theater called human society, what I call the Great Improv, where the self plays out its life based on the concepts in that society. Look at an improvisational theater. The audience provides the actors with the concepts to work with. The actors then use the concepts to make up the story as they perform. No one has any idea of what story will play out. This is precisely what human society has always been. Just like in an improvisational theater, we live in a world that is all made up. And the Great Improv is so all-encompassing and convincing, we don't notice that it's all made up. It seems like a real world. It is, and it isn't. Consider the national identity we call Italy, which is just a concept with which most people currently go along. We then build physical structures like government buildings, hoist a flag, gather armies, and write a name on a map. And presto changeo, Italy is pulled out of a hat. Italy wasn't discovered, it was invented. This all makes the identity Italy seem intrinsically real. It's no more intrinsically real than the Roman Empire, which is just a concept no one goes along with anymore, and so no longer exists. As has been said, reality is that which, when you stop believing in it, doesn't go away. In the year 476, the Western Roman Empire went away because no one believed in it anymore. The only difference between a real Roman emperor and a child playing a being one is the number of people who go along with the concept. And since my own identity that goes by my name is just as much a concept as a country is, I can't clearly see that my identity is all made up. And so I only know me as the identities I play in the Great Improv, in which I'm always starring. I'm so caught up in my made-up identities in this made-up world that I can't see my prior identity of what I really am, the Big Bang's own brain. Let me ask you a question. What is the one thing that an eye can't see? The eye itself, unless it looks in a mirror. And all I've done for students is hold up a conceptual mirror of language that makes sense to a conceptual brain. enabling the eye of the universe, the human brain, to see itself, to finally see what it is. And from seeing what we are, we could be creating a great improv that reflects the wonder of our prior identity as the conscious, self-aware brain of the universe itself, whose life support system is Earth. And that is a mind-blowing realization that has the potential to change everything. And that's the part of the story that comes next.